An engagement is a once-in-a-lifetime event. Funerals, they can wait. Or so my cousin believed, brushing past me the night before my husband's burial with a sneer that cut deeper than the winter wind. Her words, like shards of glass, lodged themselves in my chest. And the worst part? She wasn't the only one who thought it. My name is Aar Monroe, and on the day I laid my husband to rest, the man who had been my anchor when storms ripped through my life, I found myself utterly alone. Not one parent, not a sibling, not even my best friend stood with me at the church. Instead, they celebrated under fairy lights across town at my sister's engagement party. I remember standing at the church doors, staring at the empty pews, the polished wood of the casket cold beneath my fingertips. Silence swallowed me whole, broken only by the pastor's voice and the wind rattling the stained glass windows. I clung to a single, foolish hope. Perhaps someone would arrive late, repentant. But each passing minute whispered a cruel truth. They had chosen celebration over grief. As the casket was lowered, I gripped the folded funeral program until it tore in my hand. Tears blurred my vision, but my body refused to surrender. I had to stand tall because no one else would. That's when my phone lit up. One message glimmered on the dark screen. We need to talk.
Now.
Then 36 missed calls. Her timing was brutal. Her absence, louder than thunder. In that moment, grief and betrayal fused into something cold, sharp, unyielding. I glanced down at the hole in the ground, then at my phone, and felt the bitter irony of the universe wrap around me like smoke. While I buried the man who loved me completely, my family toasted with champagne and diamonds. And as the dirt began to cover him, I whispered one silent vow into the chilled air. They had chosen their side, and soon, they would know what it meant to lose everything they took for granted. I didn't answer the calls. Not one. I slipped the phone into my purse and let it suffocate in silence. The burial concluded with polite condolences from strangers, neighbors, co-workers I barely recognized, who offered hollow words and light touches, then drifted away. No warmth, no comfort, just shadows leaving me behind. Standing frozen when the last shovel of dirt hit the grave, I felt my legs ready to collapse, though my heart had already surrendered hours ago. And then, the truth struck me like lightning. I had no one, not in the family, that claimed to love me. The laughter from the engagement party seeped into my bones like poison. I could almost hear my sister's giggle, my mother's proud voice, my father's toast. They hadn't just skipped my husband's funeral, they had chosen her celebration over my devastation. That night, my phone glowed with desperate pleas. We need to talk.
Call me immediately. This isn't what you think. Pick up.
And my so-called best friend's message, laced with guilt, mocked me. Sorry, couldn't miss it.
You understand, right?
Understand? My chest burned with fury. How could I understand that those who should have held me upright in my darkest hour were clinking glasses under fairy lights instead? I whispered into the car's silent interior, more to myself than anyone. I won't let it end here. I will let the silence grow. Let them panic at my unanswered calls. Let them sweat in their fine dresses and tuxedos, wondering why I haven't picked up. I won't chase them. I'll wait. And when they come crawling, I'll be ready with something colder than grief. The next morning, the doorbell rang. Over and over, until it carved itself into my skull. When I opened it, there stood my mother, silk dress glinting in the sun, a haze of perfume and champagne clinging to her. We need to talk, she said, voice clipped and rehearsed. I didn't move, I said, gripping the doorframe. You missed his funeral. Sweetheart, it was unfortunate timing, she replied, blinking as though I were being dramatic. Your sister's engagement was important, a once-in-a-lifetime event. You'll understand one day. I let out a bitter laugh. Important. Champagne and cake outweighed burying the man who treated me better than this entire family ever had. Her face hardened. Don't be dramatic. Life moves forward. Dwelling on death won't change anything. Yet behind her words, I saw something else. Fear. And then she dropped the line that transformed grief into ice. We need to settle some matters now that he's gone. Certain assets shouldn't be left in your hands alone. She wasn't here for me. She was here for what he had left behind. My nails dug into the wood of the door. "Come in, Mom," I said calmly.
Now.
She exhaled, mistaking my calm for surrender. But inside, I was already miles ahead. If she thought I'd roll over, she was mistaken. The living room smelled faintly of lilies from the funeral. My mother perched on the edge of the sofa, crossing her legs as though she were negotiating a business deal. "AAR," she began, "clipped. Your husband, God rest his soul, left behind assets, house, savings, company shares. It isn't wise for you to handle all that alone. Your father, and I think redistribution is best." Redistribution. The words slammed into me like a hammer. I stared, speechless, as she sipped water as though entitled to every drop in my house. "Redistributed to who?" I asked. "To your sister, of course," she said, chin lifted in defiance. "She'll need support as she starts her life. You'll be fine, you're strong."
Strong.
Their favorite word. Strong meant I didn't need care, didn't deserve compassion. Strong meant they could strip me bare while I smiled. Not this time. I leaned back, eyes fixed on her. "So you skipped my husband's funeral to toast her engagement, and now you want his legacy too?" She shifted uncomfortably. "It's family duty." "Duty," I echoed. Family duty didn't walk into that church. Family duty didn't lower a coffin alone. Family duty chose champagne over condolences. My fingers curled against the armrest, but my voice stayed calm. "I'll think about it," I said, polite, deliberate. Her relief was instant. She stood, touching my arm lightly. "Good girl. I knew you'd come around." I whispered into the silent room as she left. "Not a chance." I pulled the lockbox my husband always kept in the study. Inside, neatly stacked documents, will, deeds, business contracts. Every asset was left to me. His trust absolute. The next morning, I called Mr. Daniels, our family lawyer. His voice was calm, deliberate. "AAR, your husband was clear. No one can contest this easily, but if your family tries, you'll need to be prepared."
Prepared.
The word rang like a bell. As we reviewed every clause, every signature, a plan crystallized. Quiet, precise. I wouldn't confront them with anger. The law would be my shield. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed. Threats, guilt, desperation. From my father, "You're being childish." From my sister, "You'll thank us one day." And one chilling message from an unknown number. "Sign the papers or you'll regret it." Fear had burned out the day I stood at my husband's grave. Now, they would meet a silence colder than grief. Sunday came. They arrived en masse. Mother, father, sister, even my best friend, who had shadowed my loss. Pounding at the door, demanding a settlement. I opened it calmly. Their eyes swept my home like predators surveying prey. My father thundered. My mother snapped. My sister's smile was sharp. "You've ignored our calls. You're acting irrationally. We're here to settle this." I stood near the window, fading light casting shadows. "Settle what?" I asked, casual, deliberate. "The assets." My mother spat. I held my husband's framed photo to my chest. "You left me alone when I needed you most. You abandoned him when he deserved your respect. And now you'll learn what abandonment feels like." Their faces flickered through confusion, irritation, and fear. I didn't answer. I gestured to the door.
Leave.
"The next time we speak, it'll be in ink, sealed with law." They stormed out, slamming the door behind them. I allowed myself the faintest smile. Every document fortified. Every move anticipated. They thought they circled me, but I had already built the cage. The next morning, thick cream envelopes arrived at every family member's address. Notice of estate distribution. The house, the savings, the shares, solely mine.
Clear.
Absolute. Impossible to contest without exposing themselves. By noon, chaos erupted. Furious messages, desperate calls. My mother's tears, my father's threats, my sister's poisoned words. I remained silent. My weapon, dignity. Their desperation was reflected in them. Weeks passed. The wedding went on, but stripped bare, humiliated. Funds frozen. Whispers of greed spread through the town. My sister walked in shame, not pride. I didn't attend. I spent the day at the cemetery, laying fresh lilies at my husband's grave, telling him everything, how silence had been my blade, dignity my armor. Betrayal was undone without me raising my voice. The wind moved through the trees like him listening, and I knew, in every vein, they had abandoned me, but I had buried them. Not in earth, not in stone, but in the truth of their own choices. And nothing, no apology, no regret, could unearth them. But as I turned to leave the cemetery, my phone vibrated. An unknown number again. I picked up. "Miss Monroe, we need to talk," a cold voice said. And for the first time, a shiver of uncertainty passed over me. Some battles, I realized, were never truly finished. The game had only just begun. After weeks of silence, whispers, and threats, AAR finally felt the weight lift from her shoulders. Her family schemes had collapsed under the unshakable truth of the will. The wedding went on, stripped of its grandeur, but she didn't need to witness their humiliation. Justice had quietly been served. One sunny morning, AAR visited the cemetery. She laid fresh lilies on her husband's grave, tracing the petals with trembling fingers. "We did it," she whispered, feeling both grief and peace. "I kept my promise. I honored you." For the first time since his death, she allowed herself to breathe, to smile. She left the cemetery with a sense of calm determination. Her life would no longer be dictated by betrayal or greed. She would live for herself and the memory of the love that had anchored her. Later, at home, her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Another unknown number. AAR smiled faintly, calm and unafraid. "Some things are beyond control," she whispered. "But I've learned I can handle whatever comes next." With that, she turned off the phone, walked to the window, and watched the sun set over the city. The storm of betrayal had passed, and a new chapter awaited. A life shaped by her courage, strength, and love that could never be taken from her.